Marshall against Johnson Crick. We're going to go with that, I guess.
And Wally Lukaczynski.
Enjoy the fake-tainted national title, you scumbags.
Covering everything from the green and gold to pro, college, and high school sports around South Central Wisconsin. Broadcasting live from the Daily Dodge TV studios. This is the Damn Sports Show on Daily Dodge TV and 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam.
Look, I don't like to rank shows. Like, oh, this is my favorite, this one above these, this is the cream of the crop. But if you were to ask me which show so far, what are we, about a month into this thing, I have been most excited for so far, most looking forward to for one specific reason, I'd probably tell you today. The one where we're going to bring in a state champion in studio. Our first ever in-studio guest, but now she's a state champion. McKenna Nelson joins the Damn Sports Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV. Today, Corey Sparks, Wally Lukaczynski here with you. Through the roof to have her on for a half hour. We booked her from 4:30 to 5.
I can't wait. It's going to be a blast. Get to talk a little bit about what it was like, two-day tournament, having that long layoff before a playoff win as a sophomore.
Stuff, yeah.
Storybook stuff is right. I'm fired up for this. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a phenomenal experience just to get her thoughts on. I mean, we'll go through the round and the whole experience that she had of having to sit for a couple of hours and all that stuff. But I think in general, going through her journey is going to be a fun one, and she's a great personality. We'll have a little fun with that as well. But this is also where we're going to talk about Badgers, Packers, Brewers, Bucks, everything in between. Today we're going to start off with the Packers, then we'll go into the Badgers quarterback situation in the long term. It is Locktober, as you know, for Braedyn Locke. He's had a good last couple of games, 2-1 as a starter. But before any of that, the Packers, we had Packers insider Jason Wilde on yesterday. They have their biggest test arguably yet. If you want to debate that the Vikings are a bigger test, they are one of two undefeated teams in the league right now. I won't fight you on that, but I would say this matchup against the Texans is, as Mr. Wilde put it, a measurement game.
It's a measuring stick game for sure. This is two of the teams that entered the year, probably of like 6 or 7, that legitimately thought they have Super Bowl aspirations, a team that could win a Super Bowl. C.J. Stroud, unbelievable young quarterback. Jordan Love, seemingly an unbelievable young quarterback. Just a great kind of head-to-head matchup there, kind of get a gauge on where these teams stack up.
And we're going to talk about that here in a moment. Who would you want for the next 10, 15 years? Who are you building your franchise around? Because these two quarterbacks, they're talented. They're coming off remarkable seasons. They both went to the playoffs, but they also have a lot of football in front of them, at least we hope. But first off, yes, this is the Damn Sports Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV. You can follow us on Facebook at ESPN Beaver Dam for local sports coverage, and there's going to be a lot of it. It is clearly state championship clinching season. It is conference championship season for a variety of fall sports. We've got some football games we're covering tomorrow, including the Beaver Dam game at Port Washington, so that'll be a fun one.
Feels like 1983.
Yeah, it does. 41 years in the making, right? And, of course, on Twitter at ESPNBD or Damn Sports ESPN for our daily polls. You can go on Daily Dodge TV and watch the show today. We've got a lot of cool interactive elements surrounding the accomplishments of Miss Nelson. All right, Jordan Love or C.J. Stroud? I mean, that's the question. I would say both, if that was an option. But, Wally, are you leaning one way or the other between these two? You've got someone who was a higher-rated prospect going into and coming out of college in C.J. Stroud, and you have Jordan Love, who he was in the oven a little longer. He was sitting for a couple of years doing the Packer way, which is learn for a couple of years, know that playbook inside and out, and then see the field. They're both coming off remarkable years, though.
They are, and I think that the right answer is probably C.J. Stroud. I'm a Buckeye, so credit to me for fighting for Jordan Love here, though, because I am going to take the Jordan Love side for the sake of argument. I think he has a thin edge with his legs. We never really saw C.J. Stroud utilize his legs at Ohio State. Last year he did a little bit more. Both guys over 3 touchdowns, 16 or more first downs with the legs. And then both under 2% of their passes resulted in interceptions. So this is where I'm going to go with Jordan Love. Because C.J. Stroud has the benefit of having several number 1 wide receivers on his team. You can make a case at least 2, if not 3, with Tank Dell being included in that. So I think because of the slew of talent at wide receivers, what Jordan Love has done makes it all the more impressive. 32 touchdowns, more touchdowns than C.J. Stroud last year when he's thrown to a bunch of wide receiver 2s. So because of that talent gap, that's why I'm going to give the edge to Jordan Love. That with his ability on like 3rd and 4s to extend a drive, pick up 5 or 6 with his legs.
Call into the show if you would like, 920-887-9595. That is 920-887-9595. Talking Packers, talking Badgers, talking with McKenna Nelson the back half of the hour. Such a slim margin, but you did say for the sake of argument, I'm going to go C.J. Stroud. I'm going to go with your Buckeye. We're going off a very limited sample size, so it's a tough debate, right? How are we going to look forward 10 years and truly make a decision when both of these guys have played one full season? Here's what we do know. So we've got some numbers on each of these guys. Love has almost 6,000 passing yards, 47 touchdowns, and 20 picks to your point. That is 14 more passing touchdowns than that of Mr. Stroud. Almost 6,000 passing yards. He has 33 touchdowns and 9 picks. I'm going to give it to Stroud because of the fact he doesn't turn the ball over. Like, he literally does not turn the ball over in comparison to, I almost said Mr. Rogers, Mr. Love. I love Jordan Love. I love his confidence. I love his conviction. I love the aggressive play style. It really fits Matt LaFleur, and I think that marriage is really starting to bud in year number 2 between these two guys. But he's a little more careless. Guess what? I'm going to throw it to Jaden Reed because even though he has 3 guys on him, sometimes that's going to work. Sometimes it's not going to. We saw it not work against the Vikings 3 times. C.J. Stroud's not going to have 3 interception games.
Well, here's the thing. C.J. Stroud is 1 interception away from matching his entire total from 2023. So, yes, he has traditionally been a little bit more protective with the ball, but kind of like Love, maybe as he's maturing, he's knowing more about his offense and knowing more about his players. He's getting a little bit more adventurous with some of these throws. I know last year it was insane. I think he had a 1% interception throw out of 100 that was an interception. But I do think that Jordan Love, that Favrean-like nature, when he reeled it in, look at what happened last week. I know he had the one make-believe pick on a slip.
Yeah, that wasn't his fault. I won't count that. So for all intents and purposes, he's got 12 touchdowns to 5 picks. But 5 picks in 4 games?
Have we seen a better game this year from either one of them than what Jordan Love did last week?
Yeah.
My point, I guess, is that the ceiling with Love, perhaps a tiny bit higher than the ceiling with C.J. Stroud.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I would say that's fair. It's just a matter of the play style. Like, if we could take the play style of C.J. Stroud, who has the ability to take deep shots, and combine it with Jordan Love, who uses that ability a little bit more, even in tight coverage.
Splitting hairs.
We are. These are two
these are two
guys.
of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. These are guys you are thrilled to start your franchise with. But if you are going with an edge, I almost like the guy that is a little bit more fearless, that is willing to. Not like C.J. Stroud doesn't stretch the field, but Jordan Love is. There's not a throw that guy doesn't love.
Yeah, and I like it. And in general, you look at, again, he does have a little more rushing upside, which is always good to have that extra element. Throw the linebackers off. Let's move on to, we like to do this a couple of days before game day. We are 3 days away now from the 5-1 Texans visiting the 4-2 Green Bay Packers. We look on the other side, usually a couple of days out. Who are we worried about? Wally, who is the Texans' X factor, if you will? There's a lot to circle here. They don't have Nico Collins for a prolonged period of time. He's still on the injured reserve. But, there's a lot of weapons here on both sides of the ball.
It is, and I'm going to actually go with the defensive side of the ball because we have seen Rasheed Walker have his highs and lows this year. We kind of expected that going into the year. He is still young. It takes a little while for tackles to kind of ease into the league, but he has a massive test this week. Will Anderson Jr. is on the other side.
Yeah.
He looks like one of the best young players in football, period, let alone just defensively. He's only 2 sacks off the league lead right now, 9 tackles for loss midway through October here. And then here's the thing about Rasheed Walker this week. Even when it's not Will Anderson that he's matched up, it's going to be Danielle Hunter. Mm-hmm. So this is going to just be a question of offensive line for this Packers team. If they're able to keep Jordan Love standing up, are they going to be able to slow down this Packer attack that finally kind of looked like what we expected it to look like going into the year?
And they played so well up front. Josh Myers, all jokes aside, with him throwing up on the ball the first couple of weeks.
You
of the
love
season.
that story.
And it's just
it's love
great,
that
though.
story.
It shows the grit, right? It shows that he wants it. I'm going to stay on the defensive side of the ball, too. I think that C.J. Stroud's a layup. We just talked for a prolonged period of time about his effectiveness. The free safety, he's questionable right now. If it's Jimmy Ward, that's a big one because that is the last line of defense against a Green Bay offense, which we just talked about this for an extensive period of time, too. They like to take chances, Wally. LaFleur likes to take shots. Jordan Love likes to take shots, even if it's in double or triple coverage. Here's a stat for you. Jordan Love is second in the league in completions of 40 yards or more. He has 5 of them. And you're like, okay, yeah, he's up there, right? Yeah, he's also missed 2 games. He's played 4, while his other competitors up there in that high category of who's completing passes down the field for more than 40 yards, they've played a full season. He's missed a third of the season so far. LaFleur has an aggressive style of play calling, and Jordan Love is not afraid to test the back end of the field, and that's where Jimmy Ward's going to be running around.
33 years old or not, Jimmy Ward is still one of the best safeties in football. He brings so much experience, so much value to that defense. You need them to be out there if you're a Texans fan, and if he's not, and you are the Packers, yes, Coach LaFleur, Jordan Love, they are going to be game planning to throw the ball down the field. You just need that offensive line to be able to hold up against the Will Anderson Jr.'s and Daniil Hunters of the world.
This is the Dam Sports Show on 1430 ESPN, Beaver Dam, and Daily Dodge TV. Corey Sparks, Wally Lukashinsky here with you, your one-stop shop for local sports. Also getting your perspectives on bigger topics around the Packers and Badgers and Brewers and Bucks professional Division I college realm as well. Again, you can call into the show at 920-887-9595 or go into the live chat on Daily Dodge TV. If you look us up on YouTube, some nice graphic elements to please the eyes, hopefully. And we have Wes in there right now saying, how's it going? I think we're doing pretty good. You're a little riled up at me because I didn't know who Princess Di was.
What do you mean? First of all, fun fact, I just found out Jimmy Ward was born in Racine. So Wisconsin guy at heart.
Really?
He went to high school down in Alabama, so he must have moved growing up at some point. But still, hometown kid coming home. Interesting fact.
Interesting.
Almost as interesting as you not knowing who Princess Di is and then turning it around on me. First of all, we're in that WBEV studio this morning, and I bring up Princess Di. Can't even remember the reason, but I bring her up. And you go, is that someone in like the Super Mario universe?
Yeah, like Princess Peach, or what's the other one?
You said it, but that's the thing. I need to be clear.
Yeah.
It wasn't a joke. You said that with 100% conviction, thinking it was true. It might have been a joke. Now all of a sudden, then he goes out. No one in this office is going to know. Half the people won't know. Just for me to parade you around and make you look the fool you are. No, how do you not know? So you were 23.
You're saying no one else in the office knows? Because I think our producer, Aiden, just came down here, and I asked him if he knows.
And I love Aiden to death, too, but you guys are the Utes, as they say in My Cousin Vinny.
But now I'm not alone.
Yeah, I know, because apparently we are failing the Utes of this country.
It's funny, though, because you said 98 out of 100 people
You were the 2.
We're the 2.
You're the 2.
So if I go around Beaver Dam right now and knock on 96 other doors, there's no way
How?
on earth.
I'm serious. How do you not know? There's so much. It feels like even if you are younger, like yourself, 23, I know that she passed before you were even born.
Jordan year.
Jordan year.
LeBron year.
Yeah, rattled again. I am rattled. You not knowing, it's had me kind of in a bad mood all day, frankly.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
It broke a little bit of trust that I feel like you and I had been building.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a damn shame. Well, okay, we'll go back to talking football, and we'll go to the Badgers next. They've gone the transfer portal route, as most teams do now, at the quarterback position. Tanner Mordecai in 2023 and 2024 for just a couple of games until he went down with a season-ending injury against Bama. That was Tyler Van Dyke. Now it is Braedyn Locke, who's kind of been in the oven cooking a little bit, similar to the Jordan Love situation. I can tell how rattled you are.
I'm like literally trying to get over it.
Call to the show at 920-887-9595 over the break or go into the live chat. Do you know who Princess Di is?
Yeah.
Am I alone?
Yeah.
Am I alone, or is Wally as right as he thinks he is? Braedyn Locke, the quarterback for 2025, or is there another route? What's the wisest strategy going into the future? We'll talk about that, and then the next 2 blocks, we've got a state champ in studio. That is McKenna Nelson, fresh off of her state title just a couple of days ago. This is the Dam Sports Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV.
Listen to Green Bay football all
Sean from Beaver Dam is on the line. We're going to let Sean come onto the show before me and Wally yell each other's heads off about this Princess Di thing. Sean, I hope it's about sports. If it's not, that's also fine. How's it going?
It's going well. Unfortunately, this first comment isn't about sports. Princess Di, everybody knows Princess Di.
Thank you!
You guys are the only two people that don't know. McKenna Nelson, what a little stud. So, she, as you guys said, that 2-hour delay, she has to come back on. That's the course record day before. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think she went against the Haugen girl.
Yep.
Who, if I'm not mistaken, had beaten her a couple times this season. And that might be inaccurate, but I thought she beat her by a stroke or whatever at another event. So to go back out and beat a senior, that's amazing. Braedyn Locke, I don't know what division he was in Texas, but he has a state record for touchdowns in Texas. And his younger brother is actually coming to the Badgers, blew out his knee this year as a senior. And so, the kid can play, obviously in Texas if you can do that. And then on the Packers side, I want to just finally say, I believe I read today that they have 5 of their starters out on defense, 2 in the secondary, 2 linebackers, and I think a lineman, although one of the secondary people filling in is a rookie, and he has 2 interceptions and et cetera. But, yeah, so doing a good job. I just also wanted to have a shout-out to Coach Tim Chase. He's got another state champion, so that, he just keeps delivering state championships to Beaver Dam. And I'll listen off the air. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Hey, thank you so much for the call. And first of all, might I say thank you. The first thing he said, who doesn't know who Princess Di is? It is a sports show. I'm rattled. So there you go. Princess Di, everybody knows Corey's an idiot. We're all right.
I think the score is like 6-2, so you're still going to have to find like
It's
92
not 6-2.
others.
The entire office but Aiden knew who she was. Anyways,
We appreciate the call, Sean,
we
by
do.
the way. We do.
And we all know who McKenna Nelson is, too. She'll be coming up in the next block, and he's right. We're going to have a lot of questions about it, but what she was able to accomplish after that 2-hour break, going into a playoff where we can talk about all day, the way they structure it, where they aren't a part of the final group together, how she had the disadvantage, how does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Didn't matter, but still banging my head against the wall on that.
Well, and like Peyton Haugen, who she was in a 2-horse race with pretty much throughout the entirety of the tournament. Haugen came in second last year, and McKenna was third. So Haugen has finished in front of her before. I'd have to look back and speak on different meets this year, but we can take Sean's word for it. If you got someone who's consistently ahead of you, and now you go out there after sitting cold, again, we'll ask McKenna about it in just a few minutes, and you got to go face her, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and well, to the Peyton Haugen as well. She's another one that McKenna was in third last year. Haugen's been in second now twice at the state tournament. She was tied after one in the other year that she was in school. So she's a fantastic golfer in her own right. And you could tell it was a 2-horse race from the word go this week. And it's just all the more special that McKenna was able to win it in that fashion.
Yeah, super excited to look at that. And then everything that happened over the course of those 2 days. And then Sean brought up another great point. He's a printer here, just faxing away.
My God, I love when Sean calls in.
So I started looking up Braedyn Locke, and he passed for 127 touchdowns in the great state of Texas. So he was in Class 6A. So many different programs in Texas, you have to divert by numbers there. So you've got 6A, 6B down the line. That's kind of how that system works. Yeah, I think if there's anything we've learned about Braedyn Locke, even though the numbers weren't phenomenal last year, I think he threw for exactly 50%. He will rip it. He's not going to check it down. He's not check down Locke. There's no agenda on that.
No.
He's going to rip it downfield. And I just think it's cool that's kind of the next topic we'll talk about here as I juggle my water bottle behind me. Maybe I should stop fiddling with it. He's been marinating in this offense and kind of watching it. He had a chance to watch it a few games behind Mordecai. Then Mordecai came back, so he watched the rest of the season until the ReliQuist Bowl. And then he had about 2 games and some change this year before he got thrust into the scene against Alabama, of all teams. But I think that's a good combination. You've got a kid that can rip the ball, has a high school record in the state of Texas. They know a thing or two about football. And he's been sitting and watching this program, and that's not something we've seen the Badgers have for a long period of time.
No, and he can sling it. I'll say that. My only thing, because I know where your angle is for this, is he already got the spot on lock for 2025.
Yeah, I actually wasn't thinking of that. So
Well, it felt like
I'll
that was
take it. I'll
Zangler
take
going.
the ammunition.
Well, I just knew you were a big graduation transfer guy at quarterback.
In lieu of recent events, like, Miami's doing a good job with that, where they got this kid named Cam Ward in his 5th year, and he's doing pretty well. But, like, Wisconsin's just swung and missed 2 years in a row, and it's also because of the injury. So, yeah, I like the idea of maybe we take a different approach, and, okay, if Locke gets hurt, then albeit, but at least he's learned the offense. I felt like Mordecai took a handful of games to really look confident, and he only had a year to do it, and the same would have been the case with Van Dyke.
My thing is that you bring in somebody, that's not the end of the world. You just don't promise anyone the job. If somebody wants to transfer in as a grad senior and they know that they have to win a competition to take that role, there's nothing wrong with that. Competition breeds excellence. That's a good problem to have. I just don't like the idea of being like, hey, this guy's looked good against Purdue and Rutgers. It's his program now.
Yeah.
Like, I saw the USC second half. I saw the Alabama game. I need to see more. He's looked good. He has me excited, but let's slow down, El Jefe.
Here's the thing, though. Like, I don't know much about Braedyn Locke, but let's say he plays well throughout the rest of the year, and in your world, the Badgers get to that magic mark of 8 wins, as Wes is in the chat. Okay, he gave me a decent bio. He said, was married to King Charles, got divorced, died in a tunnel in Paris, being chased by paparazzi. I don't remember that when I was on Wikipedia. But, so with Braedyn Locke, I lost my train of thought. That was stupid.
Nicely done. Nicely done. And then you made me sad again.
Oh, where was I going with that?
You did. This is great. Line.
My gosh.
Here's the thing, though. Okay, go. I'm going to just cut you off anyways.
Yeah, you might as well.
And go back to say, if he does go out and do what I said and wins
I got
8
it now.
games.
Go on, though.
No, you can have it back. But I'm saying after he wins 8 games this year, I'll be more inclined to be on your side.
Okay, good.
Let him at least compete with the Penn States of the world. They play Oregon too.
Yep.
Don't look like you don't belong on the same football field as those teams, and then all of a sudden you got me all back in.
I think there should be an opportunity, and I agree with that. So we meet in the middle and establish some common ground. If he makes this team 8-4, and he truly is a reason for it, I hope Tawi Walker has a great, healthy season for the rest of the year too. He kind of started off banged up. If he does that, with how active the transfer portal is and the players who participate in it, if I'm Braedyn Locke and I lead this football team to 8 wins, and I talk to the coaches and they go, just so you know, we're going to bring somebody in and we have an open competition, I got to go somewhere else where they go, Braedyn, it's your team.
Yeah, that's
but
fair.
It's all dependent, right? If they go 6-6 and he makes a lot of costly mistakes and it doesn't look like it makes sense to go back to him or at least make him the inconclusive answer, I'm also fine with that. But if he earns it, I think he should be fine for the next 8 months knowing, or I think it should be fair for him for the next 8 months to go, hey, this is my job.
It is the Wild West now. We are in NIL transfer portal era, and it does muddy the waters up a bit. Thing is that if you are Wisconsin, it's kind of like what we've been talking about with the Packers in a kicking situation. You can't be complacent.
No.
This is a team that was a Rose Bowl threat year in and year out a decade ago, and things have changed a little bit.
Even in college football.
Yeah.
Playoff threat. They never got there, but
That's exactly. And now with 12 teams, Wisconsin's a program that should probably be in a 12-team playoff 3 times a decade, 4 times a decade.
the conference is so stacked now.
It is. It's stacked. But sometimes when you have those stacked conferences, it also brings more talent into your team because you're going to be playing those. They're basically in the NFL, like development league, when you play in the Big Ten or the SEC.
That's a good
People
point.
want to come in. Go get people. Don't be complacent because Braedyn Locke lit up Purdue.
We will be talking with McKenna Nelson in just a handful of minutes, fresh off of her state title. What a ride it was. We will talk to her about that for a couple of segments, and we've got some fun things planned for that final segment. I will try to not reveal that, although I'm very, very, very tempted to, but I won't. So we'll play the if game. We do this every Friday anytime we get ready for the Badgers or the Packers. Braedyn Locke secures the job for 2025
If they finish the season 8 regular season wins and at least a decent bowl appearance.
Okay.
I really do think that 8 wins is the magic number for him.
Yeah.
If they go 7-5, they're getting boat raced at home against Penn State. They get blown out by Oregon. Are we really going to sit here, stand on the table and say, that's my guy?
Maybe that's it, too. Like, okay, let's assume we've kind of played the schedule game a couple of times this year as we hit the halfway point pretty much. And it's like, how do you lose those games? Even if they lose against Penn State and Oregon, if it's like a combined 50 points in a losing margin between those two, I'm not feeling too good about Mr. Locke. And they still go 8-4, but it's like, no, you're so far away from these teams. Then maybe you go out and get, a Cam Ward 2.0. and try and get a little closer to those programs. It's a good example. He's having a good year. Some would say Heisman. But I would say, in general, if they're competitive and Penn State's top 5 in the country right now and they lose 23-16 and they make it ugly, then you go, okay.
God, it's just such loser talk. If we don't lose that bad, we get to keep the
You're going to tell me
this
this Wisconsin team is going to beat Penn State? I want to believe it, Wally. But
it's 6:30 at night in Madtown. I'm just saying, if this kid keeps slinging it like he has against
so
these
romantic.
JV teams the last 2 weeks, there's a shot.
Yeah, it's a big if.
It's a big if. But if it happens, if they beat Penn State, again, watch me come back in here basically dressed as Bucky.
I think he's got the chops to do it, though. I do think that Braedyn Locke, I'm looking 12,000 yards across 4 years, 127 touchdowns. That's 4 monster seasons if you average that out. And he's not playing against chumps in high school. Texas, you've got Division I recruits everywhere. So I think he's got the chops to do it, but Bucky's going to have to show up. All right, when we come back, McKenna Nelson time, the 2024 state golf champion, joins us next. This is the Dam Sports Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV. Alrighty, welcome back to the Dam Sports Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV. She needs no introduction, but we'll give her one anyway. For the first time on live radio, your 2024 state champion in McKenna Nelson. McKenna, congratulations.
Thank you.
What a week, right?
It has been.
See, first thing we came in and asked you is Tuesday night. You have this big celebration, right? You win state, and then your answer was what?
Go to bed.
Go in the
Tired.
bed. Already the machine ready for next year.
So what was that like? Well, before we kind of dive into each round, we've got your first round scorecard. That's a whole other thing in itself we'll go over. What was the 48 hours like? How early did you have to get to the course? And just kind of walk us through the whole ride, I guess.
Yeah, as an individual, you have to get there very early. I mean, first day I had to get there at 6:45. The sun wasn't even up yet. It was dark out. It was absolutely freezing both days. I mean, I had to convince myself that it was 75 and sunny out there. Otherwise,
Same mine.
I don't take the cold real well, and so
I guess Southern. You want to go to Southern College down
Yeah.
the road, right?
so the cold was just not doing it for me. But you know, I just had to convince myself that it was only gonna get warmer as the day went on. But yeah, it was just crazy. Just the waiting of it all was just its own little story. But yeah, it was fun.
So what was it like? You are done with your round. You're watching Peyton Haugen. You're kind of just at that point hoping that you either win or you have a playoff. And then you have a playoff 2 hours later. What is that even like? I can't imagine the stress that you were in at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even really know what to think. Honestly, she was one below me, and so then I was like, you know, she's got a good regional par 5 coming in, and I knew that I was preparing myself for a playoff. I know the player that she is. I know that she could have easily won too. She had a couple holes there that she could have birdied again, but yeah, it was just so stressful. I was just in that situation. I was like, I just was so cold that, like, you know, I just have to go out and warm up again, and it was just a whole thing. But just getting used to the cold again, really that too. I was sitting in the warm for a good hour, and just going back out there kind of hit me. So, but yeah, it was really stressful. But you know, just kind of went back out there and just tried to do my best.
So then you get the hardware once it's all done after one playoff hole. You've won a lot of different tournaments, a lot of different events. Can you talk about what it meant to be crowned kind of the queen of girls golf in the state of Wisconsin and what that honor was like afterwards?
Yeah, it means a lot. I mean, having this just be my last term of the year, and just, you know, everything that's happened this summer and just all the hard work that I've done, it just really shows it's all paying off.
Yeah, I would say you had a good question.
All right,
Yeah.
perfect. So you told us last time that you came on that you have a sports psychologist. Did you feel like having one helped you in this kind of an environment where that's a stressful 2 days? You set a record on one day, and then you still have to go out and win the thing. So what was that like? Did that benefit you, you feel like, going into this tournament?
Yeah, I really did not celebrate one bit that 7 under that Monday or any time Monday day. But because I knew the type of player she was, I knew that she could easily come back and knew that I could easily come back to her. So just really just not getting ahead of myself and just really just living in the moment, playing one shot at a time. I feel like that's just something we've talked about so much that it really, really came into play here.
Yeah. Before we dive into that first round, you know, the last time you were on the show, you mentioned that you felt like third at state, even though you were just a freshman. That's coming up short. You're here to win, right? Well, you went +4 overall last year. You were in third to -6. Can you dive into the work that you put in through the last 12 months to, I mean, a 10-stroke improvement at that level with those stakes?
Banana land.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So just, I guess, the work you put in the last year.
Yeah, I mean, just all the experience that I got just playing with the girls that are better than me and just seeing what I have to prove on. I feel like that's just helped so much, the experiences, but also just, you know, just working on your putting, working on your approach shots, working on your short game, that really just comes into play in high school. And obviously last year was my first year of high school golf. I haven't played from 5,000 yards in like a couple years just because I'm so used to playing from farther yardages. So
Oh, wait a minute.
So,
Yeah, I know. I think that was a go backwards thing. So you play typically further than what you played this time.
oh yeah, I play from like 6,000. So like going to high school golf, the shots that you have to play differently is insane. Like, you're just every par 4 looks so different, and just going back to it is the hard part. Like now, me going back to the white tees from Old Hickory is like such an adjustment, because I'm not hitting wedges into every green. I'm not hitting the shorter irons. I'm hitting like my longer irons, which obviously I don't really practice that much during high school season because you don't really need them. So just really channeling that into my game this year, I feel like really helped, and especially into the high school season.
It's like a different sport.
It really is.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, well, going into that round 1 then, the historic round 1, might we say, too, you had 8 birdies, 4 of those on your final 6 holes. When did you know on Monday that you had it going on that day?
That's a hard question. I feel like definitely through the front 9. I feel like my driver was going. I feel like my irons were going. I was hitting a lot of greens. Usually when I'm hitting a lot of greens, I know that my round's gonna be good because I just feel confident with those clubs in my hand. But really, my putter was working. I had a couple long birdie putts. I mean, my putter I'm a very streaky putter. I have bad days, I have good days, but that day was definitely one of my good days.
I'd say.
On the second hole, I got my drive into trouble, then had to like punch out, hit a nice wedge onto the green, and then had like a 25 put for birdie and kind of drained that. So I feel like ever since then, I felt like things were going real well. So yeah.
All right. Well, how about the conditions? Did you feel like they played into your hands, whether it be Monday then or Tuesday? Just overall, how did you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, obviously cold was the number one condition that I have to talk about there. But the cold you just really had to get used to it. Just as much as you don't want to be out there, as much as you want to be warm, you just had to convince yourself that it was 75 and sunny. But also just the fast greens. Their greens are so fast there, but I just absolutely love putting on fast greens. I instantly just got used to the speed, and I feel like that really helped my putting too.
We had you on a couple weeks ago when you shot the program record 67 in Watertown, and I think you said that was your personal best score. So then, at State, you just beat that by a couple.
No big deal.
Yeah, and that was on a par 72, so -7. Yeah, that's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Our bird, you kind of alluded to this already, but in your game specifically, would you say birdies are contagious? Like you get 2 or 3 in a row going, and you're like, okay, I'm going to play a little more aggressive, or do you truly take it one hole at a time and go, maybe it makes sense to lay back here a little bit more?
A little bit of both. I'm a conservative player when I think it's the right time, but when birdies are coming, I'm just very aggressive, and I just want them to keep playing or keep coming. And I even told my coach on the second day, when I was 3 over through like 6 or something, I straight up told him, I was like, I'm playing way too timid right now. I need to get that aggressive state of mind back, and I need to start going for pins. And I ended that 9 with 2 or 3 birdies, so it kind of helped.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about day 2 then, the ultimate day here. So we saw almost all of the top competitors struggle more on day 2 than on day 1. Was it pin placement, weather, a little bit of both, or just the pressure of it being the last day of State?
I think the pressure obviously sometimes can get to a lot of people. I just try not to think about it, obviously, since I was only through 9 when she was through 9, or I was done when she was only through 9. So I feel like that was a little bit, but it was really, really cold.
Yeah.
Day 2. I was shaking on the last 3 holes for sure, not because of the nerves, because of I was freezing. But yeah, I feel like the wind was definitely blowing stronger on day 2 too. The back 9, I had some shots that I didn't even know what to hit. Went backwards on a couple, I felt. But yeah.
You mentioned that, or we've talked about this before, the second day you teed off before Peyton by a couple of hours. Do you even have the ability to scoreboard watch? And if you do you choose to? Or do you say, no, I'm sticking to my game. I can only control what I can control?
Yeah, you can scoreboard watch as much as you want.
Okay.
I am the farthest thing from a scoreboard watcher. I never want to look at it. Just even during my summer tournaments, I will never look at it just because I think even though it probably shouldn't get in your head, but I feel like it does, and
Sure.
I feel like it just puts more pressure on me than I already have. So I just think it's just not a good thing.
I won't put you in an uncomfortable position with the tea time start, anything like that, but you did start a couple hours earlier over your closest competition. What kind of an effect does that have on you, your play, your strategy going into day 2?
Yeah, I feel like obviously just not leaderboard watching. I feel like that's the biggest thing, just because you are so much ahead of her, and if you do look at the scoreboard and you're down by 1, even though she's only through 2, like it could just get you a little bit. So I feel like I just try not to do that. But yeah, I feel like just the wind. I feel like it's an advantage teeing off before people. I'm also kind of a morning person, so I like to get out there and just kind of get my round done. But just the wind can play factor just more and more as the day goes on, and it could blow a little bit harder. But yeah, I feel like it's an advantage.
Sure. Well, how about then in that 2-hour period when you do have that break? What are you doing there while you're waiting to find out if you've won, lost, or have more cold golf to play?
Yeah, I definitely was pacing back and forth. I just kind of sat down for a little bit, got warm for sure. Could hardly feel my body at the end of that. But then just watched 18 for a little bit, and then when she birdied again and was tied, I knew right from there that either I was going to lose or
Go to a
playoff. Just because she did have 2 holes left that she could easily birdie. So I feel like then I just went to the range, got some putts in, and then really just kind of got my mind ready for another how many holes.
You've mentioned the weather a couple of times. It's, of course, I feel like it's getting nicer out again, and you even said this last weekend it was nice. Of course, it was just that pocket of a couple of days where it was cold. Is that the coldest you've ever played in before?
Oh, no.
No. Oh,
This is Wisconsin. I hope
yeah.
not.
No, I've played in much worse.
Jeez. Well, we asked you this, ahead of state, and your answer was state. What's next for McKenna Nelson? What's next now? Because there's really solid golfers in Florida, California, places that don't have 4 seasons. What do you do for the next few months? Do you find a golf simulator, travel a little bit? What does that look like?
Yeah, I go to my simulator once a week. My coach owns a place up in Fond du Lac, so I usually travel up there. Just getting in the gym as much as I can, just getting stronger, and really just focusing on talking with my mental coach more and more just to get my mental game right for spring.
All right, that's fair. Well, when we come back, you've done a great job. Congratulations and everything.
Thank you.
My co-host decided it'd be a good idea to challenge the state champ. So you'll hear a little teaser about that now. Then we'll go to break. Then we'll come back and ask him what on earth he's thinking.
I am probably the best golfer, probably in the state of Wisconsin.
Here's a look at your
Games. Your favorite local sports hosts, Corey and Wally, on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam.
I am probably the best golfer probably in the state of Wisconsin. Like, big congratulations. We are fired up. I'm just saying, maybe if you want to validate this title, you know, you have to take on all comers now. You got to take on some challengers. So something to consider. We'll put that out there into the world. But yeah, you have officially been challenged here. Uh-oh. I'm happy you won the state tournament, McKenna. But you aren't the best golfer in the state of Wisconsin until you take me down. You aren't old enough to drive, let alone drive a golf ball. I'm the final boss. Welcome to the jungle, McKenna Nelson.
You can leave. You don't have to deal with him at all. I guess any response. So he did this as soon as we were celebrating, and we were trying to give you the limelight for, you know, winning state. About 30 seconds later, my co-host Wally here comes in and goes, yeah, I think I can take her. So what do you think?
She always wants a challenge. I'm just trying to say, like, what's more challenging than beating everybody in the state of Wisconsin but beating me?
Challenge accepted.
Okay, let's go.
So here's what we're going to do. We think we're going to give you a little scouting report and allow you to see your opponent's swing. And we have some audio with it. He's very confident in his ability.
I didn't know that we were going to show this.
Yeah, so I recorded this earlier. Wally, as one does on their lunch break, hits golf balls. There it is.
Oh, no.
There's the
Practice
first
swing.
one.
That was a practice swing. It's not on
You
purpose.
hit the mat.
It was a practice swing.
And then this one.
Probably 375 yards.
Okay.
That had a draw on it. That was going back towards the fairway. That's what you don't see in that clip because I hit it into a wall. I'm just like, what did you say? That's probably like a 9.9 because nobody's perfect, but a 9.9 out of 10.
So McKenna, I know you've received instruction. You played this game at a very high level for a very long time. From what you saw, is there anything you would fix on that swing?
Probably not.
There was a lot going on.
Positives, right? A lot of positives, I imagine.
Head was moving a little too much.
Nah, that ain't me.
How was his takeaway? Is that good?
A little fast.
Okay. The takeaway?
Yeah.
Not in the right position.
What? This is unbelievable. You guys saw it right there. That's like a mix of 98 Tiger Woods, prime Jack Nicklaus, and like the aura of Daly.
At least you know your game.
I do know
At
my
least
game.
you know golf.
I do, of course. I mean, I am golf.
All right. Well, let's play a little game. The next minute and a half here. We're gonna do rapid fire. Kind of like the ink block test, but I'm gonna say a word, and McKenna, Wally, you will each say what it reminds you of. We're gonna do 5 of these. Got about a minute and a half, 2 minutes left of the show.
Okay.
McKenna will go with you first, state champ, and then whatever you think you are. McKenna, apple.
Pie.
Jacks. Already beating her.
All right. McKenna, driver.
Head.
Donald.
Donald
Driver.
Donald Driver.
Not a big deal.
Wrong sport. All right, I take back my note about you knowing golf. Slice.
Banana.
Lip, because I don't slice a golf ball.
All right. McKenna, again, feel free to punch back at him. Outmatched.
Wally.
McKenna was the answer. She wasn't allowed to beat me to it. I thought I was going to be able to dunk on her there.
Outer space.
Pluto.
Okay.
Titleist, because that's where my ball is, on the Pluto.
You are-
Thank you, McKenna. You see yours. Yours is back there on that blue marble, third from the sun. Mine is out there beyond the asteroid belt. I'm beyond the gas giants. I'm on Pluto.
Is it hanging out with those astronauts?
Yeah, you saw my drive. That's the live picture of where it would have landed had it not been hit into a wall.
I will give it to you. Good graphic design skills.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's a real picture. That's actually where my ball went.
McKenna, what's the home course? Are we thinking Old Hick? Are we thinking Beaver? Okay, Old Hick.
Home course advantage.
How many strokes do you need?
This is ridiculous.
I'm just trying to be fair.
Okay, so best score, 65 on a 72. Wait, would you want to unveil
I mean,
behind the curtain?
I'm some things are bigger than sports. I would probably say that would have been mine if I played.
If what? If you
If it was like 24 holes, maybe.
if you shaved like 50 strokes up. What is your actual personal best on 9 or 18?
All right, if we're going 18, I mean, again, you have to realize this is probably 120. But it was the hardest course in the world.
Okay.
Glengarry in PA, nobody's heard about it. Costs like $12 to golf there. It's fantastic.
Worse than Pebble Beach.
It basically was Pebble Beach with 40 miles an hour wind.
She played at Augusta. I need to remind you that. Okay.
I mean, I turned it down.
Well, McKenna's not turning you down. She's accepting your challenge, weather permitting. Fall, spring, we'll figure it out. McKenna, thank you so much for coming on the show. Congrats on everything.
Congratulations.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for putting up with him, too.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Do it every day for an hour.
Yeah, whatever.
And we'll do it again tomorrow. Homer Hour coming up next from 4 to 5. This is the Damn Sports Show on 1430 ESPN, Daily Dodge TV.